Can you give me an overview of what you're doing exactly?
Sure, sure. So our primary business is AdAlysis, which is an ad testing platform, or essentially taking all the data crunching people do, automating it, and focus users on actions. I also, teach paid search at SimplyLearn, which is OMCP certified. So it's syndicated into colleges, universities, even college credit, and so forth.
I saw that you are on the board of Boost, formerly called Boost CTR, I think. What is there any overlap between the business you are running right now and Boost?
Great question, right? So Boost is a services company. So if you want someone to come in and write all your ads for you and do stuff, Boost, fantastic company. If you are using an agency, you're doing it in-house, you already have your own copywriters, then we're a platform that analyzes the data and shows you where to go make things. We don't actually create ads. So Boost is way more services, we're more platform self-service.
So it seems to combine pretty well. You're actually one of the veterans in paid search, and I'd be interested to know how you got into the industry. How did you get started?
So so pre-search, I was actually involved in mental health, mental retardation, closing institutions, moving people into community living facilities, and being part of society. Right, good job, burnout job. Quit back in '97. Didn't know what I was going to do, and found affiliate marketing. When I could sit at home and I can make money, and I already knew I'd been designing websites for like 4 years as a hobby. So started doing affiliate marketing, did quite well, organic at that point in time, and like 3 months afterwards, GoTo.com launched, the first paid search engine, and I actually had to call them up to make my first account because I'm thinking I could be twice listed on a page. Started doing very well to where we had companies calling us, tracking down an affiliate to say, can you run paid search for us? Like, all right, we can make a business out of this. So then, 2001 started an agency. 2002 started building software systems, which we sold one to our largest clients. Then sold that agency, moved to Chicago and joined Local Launch, which we became one of the, I learned scale. We managed 42,000 PPC accounts, 110,000 SEO clients, and 660,000 businesses. So big platform scales, what I really learned over the next couple of years. We sold that to a Yellow Page company. After hyper growth, sometimes you want to just take it easy for a bit. So we spent a couple of years mostly training and doing some consulting, and good revenue. We were backed by Google. And then but it's time to go and build something again. So, built Certified Knowledge First, which is a training-based system. Because our biggest question was, can you come to insert whatever random countries in the world, and there's only so much a person can actually travel. People don't scale, platforms do. And then a few years later, it's like, what's the biggest headache in the marketplace, right? And it's doing repeat data crunching, which waste your day. And so what's the biggest problem people have with just doing the repeat thing? Let's automate that. And so we started the ads, moved to keyword conflicts, engrams, so forth. And that's really our focus these days.
If you compare the world in 2003, when you got started, you mentioned it, you were an affiliate, you bought traffic on your own risk from Google, you shifted over to the merchants and you made your money, and you see the world as of today. What has changed since then?
Oh, so much. My first account was 1998, amazingly enough. So 2003, it was, wow. So a search result was often for, the ads were for a company. 80% were probably Amazon ads, no matter what you search for, because it was Amazon and their top 7 affiliates, or it was insert any brand name and all their affiliates, right? There's very little diversity in search results, actually. And so it was very easy to do well as an affiliate, do dictionary buys, we call them. You just upload everyone in the dictionary, serve an ad. So when people complain about some of the eBay, Amazon, whatever ads, they weren't really the brands running these things, right?
Have you ever done eBay China?
Not China. I've done US. And to the point that in 2000 and, maybe 6, when Google said, hey, only one ad per domain, right? We had like a month notice. We thought, well, hey, some of us are gonna lose accounts. They kept a few people on, so really went and actually bought the letters broad matched 0 to 9, A to Z, single letter words, and said, let's just see what happens if we open this up. It was amazing. Should have done it earlier, right? Because people really, they like to shop.
How often have you woken up and think, with today's technological capabilities, would have been around with these abilities back in 2003?
Yeah, it would have been amazing, right? I mean, we would have cared much more about attribution, we cared more about margin, because you think back then, you had to be really sophisticated to pull revenue back, right? And if you own the whole property, you can. Affiliates did not own, obviously, the merchant property, so it was a little messy. You could pull some revenue, but there was no, margin maximization, and there's no how many products can we really sell, right? Things you guys focus on, right? You think about, what if we raise lower price? How does that affect, what we sell? Totally not possible, right? Might have actually, if we had that technology then, we might have said, hey, let's actually just become a drop shipper and build our own brands and stuff, right?
I have a similar experience. I worked at a company called Clicks to Customers in South Africa back in 2006. So I remember when I started, Google had just made the change that just one ad would appear in the SERPs. And this was affecting all the affiliates. What these guys had at that point of time, they used a redirect to capture all the search queries. Google still had them in the referrer data. And then they threw all the keywords into their accounts. They had hundreds of millions of keywords in there. And you could just bid on everything because there was no competition at all. They used also dictionaries for eBay China.
The same thing here, right? We'd grab the dictionary, right? And that would be our keyword list, right? I mean, it would matter. And that's, again, people like to shop, right? And you're reminding them, hey, you go shop here. And in many ways, some of the brands really did leverage their affiliates well in building a brand because it wasn't their money at risk either.
Today, the world is a bit different. We have Google, but there are also some other players. Luckily, I would say it would be bad just having Google around, and I think it's a quite interesting space at this point of time because we have Google going more and more into Amazon's direction, building a kind of marketplace model with Google Shopping. We have Amazon having sort of copied the Google shopping system with the Amazon sponsored products. Google, at the same time, is going more and more into audience targeting, trying to leverage the data, but Facebook is clearly the leader in audience targeting because they have all the information they need to do this properly. And now Facebook has started running the Facebook dynamic product ads. And from what we heard, for example, Facebook even forgot to delete the column headers which came from Google, and they had them in there. So we see these three competing against each other. What do you think will happen on the long run? How will this industry change, and who will make it on the long run?
So I actually think all three companies will make it. I don't doubt this, right? Amazon is very interesting in that if you're an e-commerce system and you say, I want to put ads on your e-commerce site, you'd be like, that's a terrible, terrible idea, right? Amazon makes it work because they really are a marketplace. People use it for reviews. And Amazon, they power a large percentage of the web, right? With AWS, Amazon Web Services, and they really are with like Prime. They compete with Spotify. They compete with Pandora. They compete with Netflix. They compete with Hulu, right? So Amazon is a large-scale, low-margin, compete with anybody, but they don't really introduce that interesting new of technology and targeting. Right there, and their own stuff is amazing. How they can do inventory management. They're a logistics company. An incredible logistics company, but they're a logistics company. Last year, most of their acquisitions were in robotics and logistics, right? No, not e-commerce.
By the way, another overlap between Amazon and Google.
It is, right, and that's why Amazon, I would never bet against them because they understand diversification of revenue streams. So, like, when my developers think of Amazon, they don't think of shopping. They think of actually, hey, do we need to spin up a new Amazon server, right? And my daughter thinks of Amazon as music and television shows. They're going to make it, maybe not as an ad platform, they're going to make it well with everything they do. Google, it has an intent that no one else can match, right? The moment of search Back in 2004, when Google was going to IPO, right, their investors looked at Larry Page and Sergey Brin and said, all right, we get that, you guys have search and you're amazing at search. How do you monetize that? And they looked at their investors squarely and said, we don't know, but at the moment in search, we have someone's complete attention. And if you have someone's absolute undivided attention, you can monetize that moment, right? And that's where search, you can't beat it, right? You cannot beat that moment. Branding is amazing. I mean, we had this conversation at lunch. Branding is amazing. Audience targeting is amazing. It is not search.
It lacks user intent, and there's a motivation to buy something right now. And it doesn't matter whether it's a young boy or an elderly woman. People just buy based on what they enter into the search. So conversion rate is just amazing.
It is, right? And as Google gets more into your data for good or bad, right? Google Maps, Gmail, right? Google has more than 7 products with 1 billion installations. We have like pre-search. Right, so if you use Google Now, right, before you even ask the question, it bubbles up information, right? So not only do they have the moment of search to monetize, they're going to start to figure out how to monetize pre-search of, we know what you're going to ask us, so we're going to tell you the answer before you even ask it, right? Amazing. But that is non-brand awareness, right? I mean, Google's display network is good for brand building, but it's an intent. Facebook is an audience. It's a social commerce. It's a social experience.
Could you imagine what would happen if you combine both businesses? Like taking Google's user intent and coupling it with Facebook's audience data?
And that's what Google's trying to do, right? I mean, they're adding, customer match and market limits for search ads, but it's not, Google is very protective of data, and they use very explicit signals. Where Facebook, you go like random things, and they can use more implicit signals because they have so many signals. Facebook's audience targeting, Google would have to use implicit-based data, which they could do incredibly well, to even come close to what Facebook has. So I think they're all going to exist. Actually, I would never bet against Amazon. Amazon just understands how to compete on 20 fronts at once. Microsoft was like that. Microsoft's the best number 2 company in the world. They wait. Someone makes a mistake, they're number 1, right? Microsoft's amazing at this. Never against Amazon, but I think that all 3 exist as different players in the future.
I mean, you just mentioned it. Google has the user intent. Facebook has audience data. Amazon basically has both now because they know their customers, they have all their data, but they also get the user intent from the searches, and they get even more commercially motivated searches than Google gets. So it's a quite interesting race.
Yeah, it is. The difference is Amazon doesn't have the non-e-commerce, right? So if you sell, I don't think we're going to go to Amazon and compare car insurance anytime soon. So that's where Amazon, obviously people spend a lot of money on products. That's Amazon's main thing. I think it's going to be a while. They tried cell phone plans, didn't work too well. I think it'll be a while before we see Amazon branch into non-physical product-based things outside of like their AWS and B2B types of services.
I think the only area left where Amazon is not strong is luxury, high-end fashion, where the type of efficiency or the efficient platform doesn't really help because you're selling something which is way more emotional than selling a laptop or something.
I totally agree.
Thanks, Brad. It was a great conversation. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.